Hello. Today I'm going to discuss you've been found either guilty, you pled guilty, you've had to go to trial, and you've lost. And if you did, it's not over. Understanding, hopefully, you went into it with your eyes open, recognizing that 0.2% actually are acquitted or win a trial, that the Department of Justice really has a very high conviction rate. And so now's the point that I have made this YouTube because I've had phone calls where someone is convicted. I get a phone call on a Friday and they have to have their pre-sentence interview or their pre-sentence investigation report 7 days later, that Friday, a week later. And that's just crazy because this investigation report or pre-sentence report, they're not exactly the same, but they're very similar, dictates your future. It could dictate your life. And so all of this is very critical to understand. So this should not be that long, but let's get started. So what is it? This is redacted. This is the pre-sentence investigation report. There are ones that are called the pre-sentence report, but this happens when you have a meeting called the pre-sentence interview, and if you don't go into that meeting prepared, and I mean very prepared, with everything that the probation officer is the most important person that you will meet in your life as of this moment in time, and that's because they have the judge's ear. Judges depend on that probation officer for them to recommend your sentence. And so you want to make a friend. And how you can do this is by having them believe that you feel that this is a very important meeting. And the only way I can understand you do that is by coming to this meeting prepared. So the probation officer is going to give to your attorney a list of documents that they want. And so first off, you should have all those documents ready, cataloged or organized, spell checked in a very organized file. And you don't want them sent to your attorney one at a time. It should all be sent, as one packet, because the probation officer, you don't want them to lose them. You don't want your attorney to lose them. Additionally, this pre-sentence investigation report or the pre-sentence report covers everything about you. So if you have a large medical file, don't wait till the last minute. 7 days is not a long time. The Bureau of Prisons doesn't have all medications. If you're taking medications or specific drugs, just because your attorney tells you or you see that they're on the Bureau of Prisons non-formulary list, guess what? You're not going to get them because they do not want to give non-formulary generic drugs to you. And so, or if you have, a complicated medical history where, you've had surgeries, you've had lots of blood tests, you have a large medical file, these doctors' offices are busy. You may have signed a HIPAA agreement. Your attorney may have signed a HIPAA agreement to get the files, but large medical groups, or there may be a portal. But if you have hospitals involved, urgent care centers or centers where they do MRIs, X-rays, ultrasounds, PET scans, they're not going to stop everything and get your records for you right away. You need time. And when you're getting, for example, your MRIs, PET scans, CT scans, my recommendation is, being I'm a physician, is that you should get a hard drive. You should get either not only the report in paper, but you should also get it on CD or flash drive. You may not be able to take it with you or have it make its way to the prison, but it's better to have it and try than to not have it, because sometimes there's more on that CD or flash drive or film than there is in the report itself. Doctors aren't infallible. Radiologists reading the films aren't infallible. They may miss something. If there are surgery reports, the same thing. You want the pathology report as well as the surgery report. If you have blood tests, you need everything. You want doctor's notes, all of them, if you have a big medical file. It's hard for me to go into, everything that would be there. If you have mental health records, you want those. If you, on your own, you've went to Gamblers Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, you need proof. If you have letters that are character letters that attest to your character, you want all of them. So you need all of these records, and you need to have them spell checked. And character letters are letters to your character. If someone's willing to write you a letter saying they're willing to hire you, obviously nobody has a crystal ball that says, well, I'll have a position available in 5 years or 4 years or 6 years. But they can honestly say that if they have a position vacant when you're released and they're willing to hire you due to the fact that they know your character and your skills, that's a great letter to have. And so you want to have everything available and organized and provided to your probation officer through your attorney 7 to 10 days before you meet. And that probation officer may actually appreciate getting everything organized in a timely fashion before you meet with them, because that will allow them to do all of their work, fill out their pre-sentence report worksheet, so that by the time you meet, they will have time to personally get to know who you are and come away with the feeling that you're not maybe as horrible as your indictment makes out. You respected their time, and maybe they will be able to provide better insight into who you are to your judge. This is what this pre-sentence investigation report or pre-sentence report looks like. It's redacted, but this is the cover page. So now we're going to go into here. So why is it important to include? Part of it is going to be being prepared is because judges, federal judge Patrick Schultz, it's surprising how many otherwise competent attorneys punt at the sentencing hearing. What did they mean by that in this article when they were interviewed? This deals with the sentencing memorandum. Explaining it, what the judge is getting at is that the federal judge who is going to sentence you, they understand that the Department of Justice wants a conviction. They understand the prosecutor wants to put you in prison. They understand that your attorney wants to keep you out of jail. The only person they know nothing about is you. And the only way that you can change that is beginning to think is by drafting your own story, your narrative, something that could be your brand. Wheaties, Breakfast of Champions, Tesla has their color picture of their car that goes on the front of their car. The Olympics has their rings. You need to have right now your story is told through your indictment, and so you don't want to have your attorney through what's called their sentencing memorandum, which they turn in 10 days before your sentencing. It does no good if they go ahead and speak to your good character and to how nice you are and to what you've done to help yourself through this time period to explain who you are. That's not what they should be doing. And the judge is going to, they're not going to listen. They'll read it, but it doesn't move the needle. They need to hear that from you. The other federal judge, Judge Robert Scalia, says, don't wait to think about sentence advocacy, since 99% of federal criminal clients will face sentencing. So start preparing for this sentencing case early on. If I'm lucky enough to be working with you early enough, this is when we start working on your personal narrative, your story, your autobiography. But this is important because this is where the judge will first get to learn about you through your story or narrative that you've provided, one, to the probation officer, and now they've been able to embed it in your pre-sentence report or investigation report, as well as maybe they think that you're pretty much of an okay individual that went off track for a little while, and share that with the judge. That's important. And then federal judge Mark Bennett, and he was interviewed, and someone had during the interview on a YouTube asked him about including your personal story or narrative in your pre-sentence report or investigation report, and he said that was a great idea. And so that I have also included that in his interview on my website. So here is Judge Mark Bennett being interviewed. Judges want to know why. After hearing the federal judge Mark Bennett, he's interviewed by Michael Santos. Judges want to know why. After learning the why, do you take responsibility for your actions? Do you have remorse for the harm you've caused to the victims of the crime you've perpetrated? So we're going to continue on. So when you're preparing now for your pre-sentence interview, why do you need 3 months? I can't touch on everything that you're going to have to get together because you may have a business that you have that if the business was part of your charge, well, then maybe you've had a forced closure. If the business was not part of your charge, maybe you can continue operating, but you have to pass the reins on to someone else. But you're going to have to begin collecting things: copies of social security card, birth certificate, passport, ID card, driver's license. I reviewed testimonial character letters. They can be written, video, or both. All of this, medical records I've reviewed with you, prescriptions of all your not only medications, but if you have prosthetics, glasses, medical devices, if you use a CPAP, BiPAP, you're going to need copies of all diplomas. You could be a rocket scientist, but if you don't have a copy of your high school diploma, they're going to make you take your GED, your divorce decree, school diplomas, marriage certificates, naturalization papers, draft registration card. Check if you have any detainers or unresolved charges. Very important. Immigration status. Now in the age, where immigration is an issue, this needs to get resolved as soon as possible. Car registration papers. Is the car in your name or is it in a relative's name or in a spouse's name? If it's in someone else's name, will you be able to drive the car when you are released? If yes, then you need to possibly get a letter of support, a character reference letter. Let's say it's in your wife's name or husband's name. They can write a letter of support character in your behalf, stating that you will have permission under their insurance to drive that car. Military discharge certificate, birth or baptismal certificates, immigration copies of all this, copies of passport, employment verification. If you had a passport, chances are the government took it. Character letters we already went through. Let me get that out of the way. Military disability information, income tax. It depends how many years they want it. Proof of residence, rent receipts, property, union lodge, club cards, mortgage papers, any sort of professional papers. Some of this we went through already. RDAP. Are you RDAP eligible? You want to, again, make sure that all of this is included in your documentation that you provide to that you and your attorney have all this clearly spelled out before you get to your pre-sentence interview. You want everything reviewed for completeness. Psychology programs, if in fact you can benefit from any of the specific psychology programs that are available, and they are listed and they are on my website, you need to make sure that if they're appropriate for you, they are limited in availability as they are BOP specific. In other words, not all prisons have each of the facilities. You need to see if, in fact, you need to make a BOP placement request to that specific facility. And if there's any other type of information you need to include, you want to review everything for accuracy, spell check, a very big deal. This is the worksheet that they're going to fill out. And so by you putting all the information together and giving it to the probation officer ahead of time, makes their life easier. They will have all this information as we go through this. Now they're not calling, having to pull this out of you at the meeting. They will have everything. If you're lucky, the probation officer will have given some sort of form like this to your attorney. If they do not fill out this form on your first go round. Take a copy of it and then fill out the copy. Don't fill out this form online first, because if you make a mistake, it's too late. You want to fill all this out, but if you do that, all of this, well, then they'll be able to fill in. Acceptance of Rod's responsibility. This is part, you've already filled it out as part of your personal narrative or your story. It's a very big deal. Now, they've been able to cut and paste your personal narrative into their report. And so this is, this makes their life easier. And you don't think that they're going to appreciate the effort that you've put in to doing this. And this just repeats it from my website, but I hope that you have found this helpful. And I appreciate you taking the time to review this with me. Have a good day. My phone is 240-888-7778. If you have any questions, I would hope that you give me a call, as I'd love to work with you as you approach this. It's a very tough thing to go through. I went through it in 2006. It is temporary. And as hard as it is for all of you for you to go through, understand that Congress is not making this easier for the people who work there. They are making it very tough with Elon Musk going through and firing people everywhere. So, you may actually have sympathy in the people who are going to be the correction staff there, so that the more empathy you have for them, they actually may reciprocate. I hope you're having a great day, and thank you very, very much for listening and tuning in.